Hey, good morning, YouTube. So, it is December 25th, Christmas Day. It's right around lunchtime, so I've already done the stuff with the family. Breakfast, gifts, the whole thing. So today, because I'm on vacation, it's time to work on the charger again. So good news, since I last talked to you, I've got a few new parts. So another part I'm excited to show you here. This is a reproduction, Mopar authorized, original equipment. This is actually, let me see the part number. This is a B-body tack and clock, or more commonly called the Tic Toc Tach. So I have a working clock in the car, and the original owners actually upgraded it to a quart style, but it works really good. The difference is it doesn't have a tack. And if you know me, I need to see what my engine's doing all the time. So this is the Tic Toc Tach. There's a clock in the center, and then the tachometer is around it on the outside. So really cool piece. I had it out earlier checking it out. But yeah, this is it. So we're getting ready to put this into the car. And to show you, there's the factory clock set up. So it's gonna be very similar, except the outer on that one was like the seconds. Now it's just gonna show the minutes. I don't really need the seconds, but this is gonna look really good in the car. This was a factory option on cars. Typically all the RT models would have had this already from the factory, if not just a standard tachometer. This car, being a base model car, they didn't check this box for the option. So it's cool, it's gonna have it now. It's gonna look authentic like it came in the car. And it's gonna give me a tack reading, which is cool, because when I start doing more to the car, I'll need to know what the idle's set at and all that. So anyway, stay tuned, I'm gonna start putting this in. Okay, here's the dash cluster out of the 68 Charger. And just to give you a quick recap on how it comes out. There's Phillips screws that go all along in here. And you have to take this trim panel off of the radio, get all the Phillips screws out. What helps is to get the steering column down. See how I've got it dropped down? I still have the bolts in it, but I took the nuts off here, right under the column here. There's two, you take them all the way off. There's one more bolt that goes up here on the side of this metal bracket. You take it out. But then where the steering column goes into the wall, there's a cover, has two bolts, but there's 4 screws that actually hold the whole contraption up. So I loosed them all, but I kept them in place. It'd be easy to put back in later. And what it does is it drops the steering column down, see, this much, so you can actually get the whole cluster out. Way to get cluster out, you start on the driver's side, you start to pull it towards you, you pop loose the vacuum connection and pull it off, and then you got all the different connections for your headlights and things like that. You pull them off, you pull all the bulbs out, and as you work your way around, the last thing left is the ammeter, and you take a 10mm wrench or socket, you pull them off, you leave the wires here. So then that way you got everything off. When it goes back together, same thing, you put this in first and work your way over to the driver's side. So from there, I'm gonna go in here and make sure everything's nice and neat, you know, hook the speedometer cable back up and all that, but make sure everything's not rattling or anything. My radio doesn't work. Now's a good time for me to unbolt this, and the radio can slide out right here on the side, and I can troubleshoot it and the wiring and all that, make sure that's good to go. Anyway, that's a quick tutorial on how to take the dash out of 68 Charger. So from there, we bring the dash cluster over here on a workbench, and see there's our factory clock. And this is going to be the replacement Tic Toc Tach. So what I'm going to do, I laid some microfibers down here to keep it all nice and neat. And then I'm going to start taking the screws off so I can actually get in here too. Okay. Just like the other one, This one should drop right in. There's a rubber piece on here to protect it in transit. Actually have to pull that off like that. And then this will slide through. So, see if we can line this up in the hole like that. And then down and boom, check it out. Okay. So now what we have to do, what is that? Huh, that's interesting. Oh, that must go to the power. That's the power they give you. Took me a minute to figure that out. Put this back through here. Okay. So what that is, that's the power that we had before they went to the back of the other one and would snap in. They actually give you one here, which is cool. So now we'll put this screws back in here. Okay. Boom. So give you a better perspective on it. So there it is. So now we have our tack and clock, speedometer, fuel, temperature, oil, and alternator ammeter. You can tell over the years, original stuff, because they have this yellow tinge to them. That's how you can tell these gauges are original here, and that's obviously a newer one. Temperature gauge actually looks a little nicer too. So I know the fuel, the oil pressure, and the speedometer are absolutely original by the dingy yellow. I think there's much I can do to clean that up, unfortunately. Maybe I'll try, but right now, that is now the cluster back together. And I'm going to touch it up and clean up a few things before I put it back in the car. Okay, so holding the clear lens in to the cluster are these little push pins here. See there? So the best way to get them out without damaging anything is just take something like this and go in from the back and just literally push them out. And they pop right out. You don't have to prise against the glass or anything. It makes it real nice. So here's a better shot of what the gauges look like in the cluster. And again, the reason I did all this, I'm actually going to go in here and clean this as much as I can to make the lens look a little nicer. Maybe try to polish it just a little bit, but basically get some grime and crud off of it. Clean up best I can. Get that dust off. I tried to clean up these gauges a little bit on it. Wipe the panel down, wipe the turn signal lenses down, and now I'm getting ready to put the lens back on it. I did clean the lens best I could. It's real fragile, so you gotta be real careful with it. And drop it back into place here like so. Just like that. Okay. Now it's all down in there. And again, you take these push pins here and they just push back into place like so. Just like that. Put them all around here. Okay, should be missing one, and I am. Here it is. It's gonna go right there. Okay, so now the lens is back on the cluster, like it's supposed to be. Now, this is our trim piece, which is going to go back on. Before I do that, I might try to clean this up a little bit. Yeah, see if we can try to restore that a little bit, make it more consistent. All right, so it's flipped back over on his face. Now I can put these screws back in it, which secure the face plate to the rest of the cluster. All right, so I'm starting to make my wires up here. Have some red. You need a 12-volt key on for this, which is the positive here. And then you've got I've got gray under the hood, but all I got is a green wire, which can go to the tack signal. So S for signal, plus for positive 12 volts there. And if you come over here, in my harness, what's interesting here is I've got this plug right here. It's not hooked to nothing, near the firewall. And then over here, I ohmed it out, and this is the wire, and it's just kind of hanging out over here. So this is gonna go to the negative side of the coil, like this, and that gives me my tack signal, right? So I'll take that nut off, put this on there. And what's nice is from the factory, that wire runs to here and stops. So what I have to do is poke a little hole through the firewall, put a grommet around it, and then run the wire from here to the back side of the tack here. We're ready to go. Again, S is signal, plus is plus 12 volts when you turn the key on. And this goes to the clock, which is constant power source. So it matches the terminal that was on the back of the other clock. It just plugs right into here. So my existing wire goes to there. My tack signal goes here. I gotta run a wire over to the fuse box. The fuse box in these cars on the passenger side under the kick panel, under the floor. So I'm gonna find one that's a 12 volt on and hook the red wire to it. That'll be my 12 volt signal. All right. So jump projects here. Last video I did the Tic Toc Tach install. Show what that looks like. There you go. Tic Toc Tach. Turn on lights so you can see it. Green LEDs for the window. See that clock ticking around? Oh yeah. So I got a tack and a clock now. Tic Toc Tach. Them little gauges. What is that over there? That looks like a car stereo system. That's one I had laying around from one of my projects previously. It actually fits in here. I wired it all up. It works with the key on, everything like that. But the speakers sound like crap. So must be old school speakers, different ohms on these speakers that don't work as well with this new style radio. Somebody will change the speakers later, but at least for now, I actually have music in my charger. So it ain't the greatest stereo system, but it's better than what I had, which was zero, because that AM radio wasn't working. Okay, it's Sunday, December 27th. Kind of level. I need to drive it and see how much it's gonna settle, if it settles anymore. And I might take another half turn or turn out of the front torsion bars. But that just gives you a little quick surround of the suspension job. And for the interior, let me turn these lights off. There you go, you got the green gauges. And we got, oh yeah, I actually have a radio now. So from back here, it looks kind of cool. You can see all the green gauges in it, which is the look I was going for. So check it out. Gauges work. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you my Tic Toc Tach. So let me, all right, so there is your Tic Toc Tach. So that means the clock's working and the tack, watch it when I rev it. Oh yeah. How about that? Tic Toc Tach, baby. And it's idle. I thought it was idle a little high. I set 1,000 in neutral. Put it in gear and it's about 500, I guess. But yeah, then you put it back in park and it goes up. Oh, it's about 750. Yeah, okay, that's about right then. But anyway, there's all the gauges working on it, and got, like I say, got the new radio in it. So that's it for now. We'll do the front suspension later. driving. He's got the new leaf springs, new shocks on the back, new shocks on the front, and adjusted the torsion bars so far. I still haven't done all the suspension, the steering components to go with the suspension, along with the upper control arms and ball joints and all that on the front. So I'm gonna do that too, just not today. I want to drive the car some. But my Tic Toc Tach is working great. All my gauges are working, my radio's working. So pretty happy with the progress so far with the car.